Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with C.O.D.Y. As usual, I'm your host, C.O.D.Y, and today we are wrapping up February's theme of awesome Joe Hill adaptations with Locke Key. The reason I did this theme this month. Lot to talk about. I'm going to try to go over a bunch of it, I guess. There's not much to spoil. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot. But I'm going to try my best not to. So for the folks out there who don't know what Locke Key is, it's twofold. It is a graphic novel series created by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. So Joe Hill is the writer, and Gabriel Rodriguez is the illustrator. It was published on IDW Publishing way back in the year 2007, right? 2008 was when it actually first came out. It is broken into 9 different story arcs. I will go over them a little bit here. The names, not the actual story arcs, and it leads to some other stuff. So it starts off with Welcome to Lovecraft, then it goes Head Games, Crown of Shadows, Keys to the Kingdom, Clockworks, Alpha and Omega, Heaven and Earth, World War Key, and Hell and Gone. So the book itself, like I said, broken into the 9 story arcs. Each story arc has 6 different issues in it, except for the last one has 5, technically, because World War Key is separate out of it. It doesn't matter. Hell and Gone is the new one. I'm sorry. World War Key and Hell and Gone are the new ones that will be released later this year. That doesn't talk. That does not give you. That does not. Oh, that doesn't have the short story in it. Oh, I guess it does have it in that one. Oh, I guess it's in... Okay, I see. They lumped it into Heaven and Earth. Gotcha, okay. So there's 2 releases that were released in 2019. The first one was... the first one of the newer ones was Small World, which was released in 2016, and then the second one was a combined one that had Nailed It and Dog Days in it, that are all part of the Heaven and Earth story arc. And then coming up later this year, you have 2 issues that consist of World War Key. That will be a one-shot and then a number 1. And then Hell and Gone will be later in this year as well, it's called Hell and Gone, which is a tie-in, or not a tie-in, a crossover with the Sandman universe through DC Comics. And it's, I can't wait to, read it, because it's going to be awesome. Anyhow, so these are your 9 story arcs. Your main story arcs, like I was saying before I got distracted, are the first, essentially 6, that will mainly consist of what the TV show will go through if it continues on past its first season, which very popular it is, so most likely will make at least a second season, if not more. But as of right now, we're waiting for a word on second season. But anyways, so the 6 story arcs, the first 2 so far, well, there's a lot from them that the first 3 story arcs, Welcome to Lovecraft, Head Games, and Crown of Shadows, are tied into the first season. So if anything, they would be doing 3 seasons, it looks like. And not all of the first 3 story arcs were used in the first season. But there's a lot of it that is. And there's some stuff they left out. Well, I don't left out. Yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff they changed. Not because they needed to or wanted to, is because they were doing so to kind of make the TV show a little different from the books, but also to keep along the same run of the book itself. Because it would be a hard, not a hard thing to do. It would be just a lot to do if they were going to try to do one issue per episode. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes into them, and it would you wouldn't get a satisfying first season just by the first book, I think. But I mean, you could have done it, but whatever, doesn't matter. The show, like I said, it touches on a lot of it. There's only, in the first season, we only get to see, if I did my math right, 8 keys, right? I think so. Anyways, there are tons of keys. In the books alone, there's about 25 or 30, but there's made reference to a whole lot more. And they change, so far, only one key's been altered. Well, actually, it's kind of like 2 keys were merged together. You had the gender key and you had the head key. No, not head key. What was that one called in the book? It's called the skin key. Skin key in the book allows you to change your race. The gender key allows you to change your gender. What they did in the show is, to me at least, it looks like they made the face key, is what they referred to it. They merged those two because you can make yourself any race and or gender that you wish. And so those ones are done. And the execution's a little different, because in the book, the skin key, you gaze into a mirror, I believe it is. Then you turn the key in your face or in your body. I think it's in your face. It's in your chin, I believe. Much like they did the way they did the face key in the show. And it allows you to change your gender. Bodhi and Kinsey use it in the book to go visit a friend of their father's who's in a facility for people with broken brains, which is the same thing that happens in the show, but they don't use the key for the same thing. In the gender key, a little different. In the book, unlocks a half-size door between 2 rooms, which will change the sex of the person who enters it. And so they use those two together to do one thing in the show. So that's really the biggest difference in the keys so far. But in the show, we've seen the Omega key, the Echo key, the Anywhere key, the Ghost key, the Head key, the Shadow key, the Music Box key, and I believe what they refer to as the Face key, I think is what they call it, which is the mix of those two. Those are the ones we've seen so far. So it's 8 keys. But we have been, I don't really think teased would be the right word, but led to believe that there's more. And you get a quick glimpse into, spoiler alert, where the keys come from. But you won't really find out for quite a while. Probably, well, Keys of the Kingdom, which is the 4th story arc, will that brings in a few things that will lead into some things. It's hard to say. Anyhow, that's the book. The show consists of 10 episodes. The 10 episodes are aptly named, and I think they did a really good job of them. The only thing that I would recommend, I'm not going to say, no, it doesn't matter. You can read ahead. I don't think it's going to really spoil much because they do a good job of changing some things up. But the best part about it is the last 5 minutes of the final episode of episode 10 reveals to be more of cliffhanger-ish than what you originally thought. But yeah, it's I'm trying not to say too much about it, but it's I think it was very well done. The one thing that they completely and utterly nailed, well, besides the keys, visually tremendously done, was the key house. And I don't know where the fuck they got this house. I don't know if they built this house, but it is stupendous. Like, oh my god, stupendous. It was so well done. I could not believe the exterior, I should say. Interior is probably all sound stages, but the exterior is a gorgeous, gorgeous house, and very, very reminiscent of what you would see from the show or the book itself. And I'll include a couple things on the website for this episode that you can go look at. One will be the cover they just released of the Sandman Universe crossover with Locke Key that'll release in October. Then I'll also put trailers for the show and a couple key art covers and stuff from the book itself, just so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. But yeah, for the show, I won't really go into actors and stuff because there's a lot and they're not well known. I know a few of them. I talked about Laislala de Oliveira, Laisla, I think it's, I don't remember. She was in literally what I was talking about last week, which is in the tall grass. But she's been in a couple things, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about that. There's just too much to go over. The show. So, like I said, the first season has a lot that goes through the first 3 story arcs. And one thing that jumps into like the 4th, I think. I can't remember. I should have reread it, but I was trying to not like go over it too much when I was before I watched it. I mean, I know it very well. I've read it a few times, but I wanted to kind of look at it with fresh eyes because it is one of my favorite books. That not just Joe Hill's written, but just in general. And I think everybody should read it. Yeah. Pretty much it. I was going to say something else about the show. Cameos. I knew it was. There are 3 cameos, 2 cameos, really, if you want to say it that way. And I won't spoil what they are. Just keep an eye out for a couple familiar faces if you know the content and things that they're talking about. And then the one other change I was going to say, if you've read the books and you're wondering why the show doesn't take place in Lovecraft, Massachusetts, I can't say that word ever. Instead, it takes place in Matheson. So a direct quote from an interview. Where'd it go? So in adapting the comic for Netflix series, the fictional town where the Locke house was located was changed from Lovecraft, Massachusetts to Matheson. According to Hughes and Averill, I don't know how to say that name. Terrible names in general. This change has been suggested by Hill himself. While the comic setting of Lovecraft was to honor author H.P. Lovecraft and thus had more Lovecraftian themes to it, Hill wanted to honor author and screenwriter Richard Matheson with the series. Hence the reason the town is now called Matheson versus Lovecraft. So, boom, there you go. I think that's really it. Short episode. If I ramble too much, I will start ruining stuff, and I really believe there's a lot of fun to have in it. I know just yesterday, I think it was Tuesday, or Monday, February 24th, it was announced that Netflix put a new feature up to help guide people toward popular things, which is a weird thing, but whatever, which is their top 10. And I guess Locke Key was like number 3 or something on it, if I remember seeing it correctly. But anyways, I'm pretty sure here pretty soon, in the next week or so, we'll probably hear about a green light for a second season, which they've already begin writing. Even before the premiere of the first one, they basically planned on it because I believe they got a lot of positive feedback from Netflix from testing. And Netflix has put a lot of promotion behind it. They even did a thing where if you look it up on the internet, if you Google it or whatever, they invited a bunch of, I think, industry people and critics, like not like I'm a professional critic, but like people who are into that sort of stuff, like press wise. They brought them to an event at the headquarters of Netflix. I remember they built this giant like Lock and Key thing for them to go through, and they gave them these boxes that actually had the key replicas in it. It was pretty cool, and I kind of wish I could have got one, but I'm not that kind of famous. So until then, but anyways, yeah. So check out Lock and Key, both the books and the TV show. And if you're an audio book reader, believe it or not, there's an audio version of the comic book, which is pretty spectacular. The only weird thing about it is it's narrated because of the stuff that goes on in it. If you've ever read a comic book, a lot of the story is told via images. When you're doing audio, you don't have images. So instead of just having people talk back and forth, there's a narrator. The narrator is there to give you the details of what's going on, what's seen in the room, what certain people are doing, giving the actions of things like that. So I know some people found that off-putting, but there's really no way around it, because you can't take a visual media and just adapt it to audio without some concessions. And I myself was not bothered by it whatsoever. I thought it was a pretty cool way of doing it, and it didn't take away. But full voice cast, every single person is voiced individually by different actors. They even have sound effects and music. It's pretty awesome. You can get it on Audible. I think it's an Audible original, technically. It might be available anywhere else, but I think it's an Audible original, which means if you have Audible Unlimited, you can actually get that as one of your Audible original selections if it comes available, I guess the way it works. But also it's available on there to get Also at a discount if you have Audible Unlimited, you can get a discount on it as well if you've already used your credits. Or you don't want to use one of your credits and you just want to buy it, you'll get a discount on it as well, I believe. I could be wrong about that. I should have looked it up before I started mouthing off. But there are 3 ways to enjoy this. The comic books, which I highly recommend because Gabriel's art is amazing. The audiobook, which is literally someone reading the script of the comic, which I don't even know if Joe did full scripts on them, but it clearly had them. And then the Netflix television show, season 1, streaming now on Netflix. And yeah, that's it. I've drugged out another 4 or 6 minutes there, rambling on. I'm trying not to because I really want to just discuss the show, but it's lunacy to do it by myself. But anyhow, that's it for this week's episode and this month's theme of awesome Joe Hill adaptations. We were talking about Locke Key to wrap it up. And tune in next month, same talk time, same talk channel, to hear me ramble about dystopian, or no, sorry, what was I thinking it was calling? It's space thrillers, I think is what I'm going to call it. And I'll tell you the movies that I'm going to be talking about. And this came out of pretty much nowhere because I saw an ad for a movie I wanted to see that I never watched that I saw is available now, so I'm going to watch it. So the 4 movies for next month, I called it awesome space movies, but they're not all in space. They just happen to be, well, they're not in space, but they're not on Earth. Does that make any sense to you? Doesn't matter. Hold on. So the first week will be Moon. Second week will be High Life. Third week will be Ad Astra. And the 4th week will be Prospect. And if you're wondering how to get these, Moon, as far as I know, is only available to purchase or rent through streaming services. High Life is available on Amazon Prime. Ad Astra, again, so new that it's not. I don't think it's shown up on any streaming services other than for pay or rent. And then Prospect is available through Hulu, which will be week 4, like I said. So tune in next week for the beginning of Awesome Space Movies. Here with me on the Awesome with Cody. Again, I'm your host, Cody. And like usual, at the end of these, I always like to say, let's be awesome.